Before the video starts, please like, subscribe, and comment. Any interaction will help me greatly. My goal is to reach 1,000 subscribers by January 2026. And also please watch until the very end, it's the least I ask for, thank you.
Hello, nice to meet you. I'm Chihiro Fujisaki.
When we first meet Chihiro, she comes across as shy, soft-spoken, and insecure. Someone who clearly doesn't fit into the killing game's brutal environment. But as the story unfolds, Chihiro's gentle personality hides something deeper. A secret that shocked players when it was revealed, and one that would go on to split the fandom in half. Before we dive in, we need to learn who is Chihiro Fujisaki, and what exactly is her secret? Chihiro Fujisaki is the ultimate programmer and a participant of the killing school life in Hope's Peak Academy. Chihiro is told to be very intelligent, but she is also very shy and timid. She apologizes a lot, and it's easy to intimidate her to the point of tears. However, she also loves to talk about anything related to her work as a programmer, and she becomes more outgoing and talkative whenever the topic is brought up. Now that we know of her personality, we can move on to Chapter 2. Chapter 2 of Danganronpa. Trigger Happy Havoc starts off deceptively lighthearted. The group is still reeling from the first trial, but trying to keep things together. Although Mondo and Kiyotaka start butting heads, the two get along just as quickly as they started fighting. Then, Monokuma reveals the next motive. The students' deepest, darkest secrets they'll never want revealed. Although most are harmless at best, there's one person who's greatly affected by this next motive. But instead of letting the secret tear her apart, she does something different. She reaches out for help. That person is Chihiro Fujisaki. She goes to ask Mondo for help, because he's just the right person to ask. But that's all a grave mistake because of—
So you want to be a man? Step right up. It's your lucky day, for real. I'm the strongest guy here by a country mile, and if anyone says otherwise, I'll beat him to a bloody pulp! I'm stronger than you! And I'm stronger than Big Bro! I crushed his head in.
His head in? What was Chihiro's secret that would cause such a reaction? Well, she is a he. Chihiro dressed as a girl because he had a small build and soft, delicate features, the kind that made others assume he was a girl. Because of this, many bullied him, so he resorted to hiding and dressing as a girl to avoid bullying. However, when the second motive came out, he became even more determined to change and become stronger so that he could tell his secret. He concluded that he should share his secret with Mondo, whom Chihiro admired, by inviting him to go work out together at the gym. Now that we have his secret out and his reasoning for his secret, how did this divide the Danganronpa fandom? Well, many like to headcanon Chihiro as transgender, or say he is good transgender representation. Which is very bad honestly, and it completely ruins his backstory and character as a whole. Here's the problem with calling Chihiro transgender representation. That idea completely changes the meaning of his story. Chihiro's character arc isn't about questioning his gender, it's about insecurity, fear, and the pressure to fit into a certain image of strength. The whole reason he presented himself the way he did was because he was terrified of being judged for not being manly enough. The point was never about transitioning or identity, it was about how society's expectations crushed him. Turning that into a story about being trans erases his entire backstory along with his character too. It's not representation, it's misinterpretation. And I'm sure we're all aware how horrible Spike is when it comes to representation of characters. In my honestly, I'm pretty sure they aren't even trying to represent anything with their characters, especially with Chihiro. You can't represent something you aren't. That's like people saying I represent emos just because I like the color black and a few My Chemical Romance songs. A quick side note, But I also want to point out that people have said even if Chihiro was trans, he would be horrible representation, since his story would fall into stereotypes. But I am not educated on that topic at all, so take that as you will. I know people will ask in the comments, Rosie, why did this cause such a fight in the fandom? Well, it's just cause the Danganronpa fandom is just so passionate, even in 2025 where it seems like everybody forgot about Danganronpa. Hell, even my propaganda videos I half-assed got lots of attention just because it was opinion-based. Anyways, moving on. Let's get everything straight. 1. Chihiro is not transgender, nor is he representation of the transgender community. 2. It's also not okay to go out and harass people who do want to headcanon him as transgender. I think it's my duty as a content creator to remind my viewers that these are fictional characters, and they are not worth getting into heated or even dangerous arguments with people online with. But, I'm not gonna act all goody two-shoes either. I think it's perfectly normal to disagree with someone, but there's a difference between criticism and straight-up bullying and harassment. Now here's a couple of things I want to mention before I end this video. It's said Chihiro Fujisaki was treated as a trap joke, which is a slang term for a male character with a very feminine appearance, often intentionally cross-dressing or androgynous enough to be mistaken for a girl. Obviously, this is used as derogatory, and just because it was normalized back then, doesn't mean it's okay. Because this term is used for transgender people, I think a lot of people use this as proof that Chihiro is transgender. And what I see a lot is that whenever people write fanfictions of Danganronpa non-despair alternate universe, Chihiro is typically headcanoned as transgender, which I assume is because it's just not taking place in the actual Danganronpa universe, but rather a universe where Junko didn't cause despair, and Hope's Peak was just a normal high school. Although that doesn't excuse anything, it also makes sense considering the fact that a lot of these people writing these fanfictions were probably kids who didn't know better, and obviously kids shouldn't be in the Danganronpa fandom. There's bound to be some, just like in any and all fandoms for anything. At the end of the day, Chihiro Fujisaki's story isn't about if he's transgender or not. It's about fear of judgment, fear of weakness, and the desperate need to hide in a world that punishes you for being different. Reducing that story to a label or a headcanon strips away what made it powerful in the first place. Chihiro isn't some checkbox for representation. He's a tragedy about what happens when you let bullying who you are and how it can tear away at someone's true being. And that's why Chihiro Fujisaki will always be one of the most misunderstood, and most debated, characters in the entire Danganronpa series.